Hello, friends and Jyotish enthusiasts. This is Joey here, and I am very happy to come back to you with a new video. It's been a little while, but I'm really excited about today's guest. He's actually a special friend of mine. He's actually my elder guru brother. We both study in the Sri Achitananda Das Parampara of Jyotisha. And he has been studying for a little bit longer than I, but we are both enrolled in the 5-year Jaimini Scholar Program. He himself has recently graduated from the 5-year Parashara Jyotisha course under the tutelage of the esteemed Jyotisha Visti Larson and under the supervision of our Param Guru Sanjay Rath, who heads this lineage and is disseminating these teachings worldwide. And so he recently completed an intense 5-year program studying the works of Parashara, who is, of course, the grandfather of Vedic astrology. And he is now a professional astrologer from Karnataka. Kartik, Srinivasan, welcome to my channel and welcome. I'm so excited to have you today.
My pleasure, really. And, just the joy of interacting with you. After we met back in December, we haven't got an face-to-face interaction till now. So you are busy and I'm busy. It's good to actually connect also with you and the opportunity to reach out to your friends and audience over here. So, I really value that a lot.
I have to say I'm a little bit intrigued because, when I left in December and we said our goodbyes, in India, I had the open invitation, like anytime you want to come onto my channel, I'm more than happy to have you. And I remember you had said, let me just think of a suitable topic to talk about. And it took you a little bit of time, but then, you reached out to me and you're like, Joey, I think I have a topic. But I'm not going to tell you anything. So I don't know anything about what we're discussing today, but I'm so excited because I know anything that you present is going to be very well researched, and I think the viewers are going to really enjoy it. So
in fact, this one was so like I made something and I showed my, I like to show, she's the one, my audience, first audience rather, though she doesn't understand any astrology, right? I mean, it's not like she doesn't understand anything, but she's not really into astrology. So when I showed her, she just came out of, why don't you discuss this with Joey kind of thing. So like I said, yeah, that's a good nimitta.
Great. Well, I'm very thankful for that. So that's good. So I'm totally excited to see what you have.
And this did involve research for me. Okay, so why not? Shall I give a bit of brief about the topic before I show the presentation?
Yeah, absolutely. Please, the floor is yours.
Yeah. So this did involve a lot of research. So bit of background about myself. I obviously I'm a jyotishi and I love jyotish, but in my childhood, since my childhood, I am a history buff. I like to read any history, any place, any period, and I've read a lot of European history also. Okay, and apart from Indian history and American history and all that. And this one was something this thing or research which I had done as far as the historical research is something like 4-5 years back I had done. Okay, so anyway, why not? I'll show that straight away then.
Okay, yeah.
Because no point in just holding it. Okay, so let me share it and let me put it on full screen. Is it on full screen now?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So the title says it all. So Napoleon Bonaparte, everyone, I mean, many people would have heard of him if they don't know who he was exactly. And I'll tell a little bit about that. No, don't worry. Don't think that, you're completely caught off guard. Oh my God, history and astrology, I'll explain everything. No problem. So Napoleon Bonaparte, I mean, just to give a brief, he had gone on this campaign, which was his last campaign, okay, which ended in the Battle of Waterloo, okay, and I mean, there's no spoiler alert over here. He lost it big time, right?
Right.
I wanted to know the muhurta. So what we consider as muhurta is when you start the journey, right? So I had to know, when did Napoleon leave his palace, okay, in Paris. right? He left from Paris. When did he leave that? And that would be the Muhurta. So I did a lot of research for that. Okay. But before that, let me give a bit of brief about who Napoleon is for those who may not know. Okay. He was one of the greatest rulers of France. He probably ruled the most wide and extensive empire, French empire ever. Okay. Like during his times, France conquered Spain, Portugal, parts of Germany, and even maybe Italy for sure, and a lot of parts of Europe. Okay, so he was like such a big threat to the others that the entire Europe, all the powers united against him. Okay, united against him, including he had a marriage of alliance wherein he married an Austrian princess. Even the Austrians fought against him. So such was his you may say terror really. Okay, he was a great military leader. He had won numerous victories and brilliant victories. He was really mercurial. I mean, and he ruled France. Practically, he ruled France from 1800 to 1815. He was crowned emperor in 1804. So 11 years he was emperor, 10 or 11 years. Okay. But he was first imprisoned. I mean, he first had a big defeat in 1814 or so. He had a very disastrous campaign of Russia. He came back, he lost power, and he was imprisoned in a place called Elba in Italy. It's a small island basically near the coast of Italy. And somehow in a few months or a year or so, he managed to escape from there. And he came back to France, that is to Paris, and the entire army again went back to him because they were not happy with the rulers who had been appointed. I think Louis the 18th or something like that. And he again rejuvenated within 100 days. He had got an army ready, more than 100,000, 120,000 people. He had got them ready, and then he decided, what, the best way of defense is offense. So he decided to attack the allied army, the multiple country alliance which was there. That was commanded by another great personality of that time called the Duke of Wellington. Okay. And if you ask me, my favorite historic personality, it is Duke of Wellington. I admire him, his military victories, his genius is amazing. So it is like two military geniuses fighting against each other. So Napoleon left Paris, and then there was a lot of engagements in between. But eventually, there was this Battle of Waterloo, which happened. Waterloo is in Belgium, by the way. Okay, so and he lost it, and he was imprisoned. And eventually, then they decided not to take a risk and not put him in Italy or anywhere nearby. They sent him off to some small island near the coast of Africa in the Atlantic Ocean called Saint Helena. And there, 6 years down the line, unfortunately, he died as a prisoner. Okay. So he died due to sickness and all that. Okay. So I wanted to understand the Muhurta of it. And that was the challenge. When did Napoleon leave France? Okay. So I had to do a lot of research, and I'll show. Finally, I found a nugget which was exact information. Okay. And he left on 12th of June 1815 at around 4 a.m. Not at around, it's at 4 a.m. The person who writes, this is at 4 a.m. Okay. I just added the around over here. Okay.
Okay.
And less than a week later, that is on 18th of June, the Battle of Waterloo happened, and where he completely lost it. I've just given some images over here from the battle. These are actual watercolor paintings of the Battle of Waterloo, not of any other battle. Okay.
Oh, wonderful. How did you find this time?
Google the time. Yeah, that's what I'll tell. So this is, after a lot of searching, I came across this link. This is the diary of an personal aide of Napoleon. Okay. And the Europeans and French, and this is after the French Revolution, right? So they had modified the time system and all that, and they were very particular timekeepers. And look at this diary. This is his diary. He's writing very clearly. Napoleon left I don't know how to pronounce French names. I'm really sorry.
Élysée.
Élysée, right? Élysée. That's Paris, right? That's Paris. His place in Paris, right? He left that at 4 o'clock on the morning of 12 June, and then it goes on to say, at 6 o'clock he reached here, at 8 o'clock he went. This is precise. It's like a page or more than a page full of information. It's an entire diary. It's like a war diary, basically. Okay. So I managed to find this, and this is the exact Muhurta. So bingo, we got the information what we wanted. That's all we want as astrologers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so then this is the Muhurta, this is the chart. And, I have given the South Indian, East Indian and North Indian, all three charts over here. This part, what is initialed in red color is the Muhurta details. And I've just put here the birth chart of Napoleon. Okay, this is his birth chart. This is his, pardon me, this is Rashi chart and this is Navamsha.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry, due to space constraints, I am able to put it only in the East Indian format. Okay. But this is it, and I've also given the degrees over here of the planets. This is the degrees. Okay.
Yeah.
And here you have this is a very beautiful feature in Sri Jyotish software, where and this is something, if you are planning a Muhurta or a Prashna chart or anything, I would recommend please do use this table. Okay. This lists the major flaws in a Muhurta. There are more than 20 flaws which are there. This lists them. There are some, I think, that are not here, but this lists all the major ones for sure. Okay. For example, yeah, Sankranti is also here. Okay. So this is giving you the major. So I would look at this first. So today, what I'm going to talk about is not as much about natal chart analysis. Okay. I have been interested a lot in Muhurta aspects recently. And, and that is what I've studied a lot of Muhurta literature over the last few months. And even earlier also I've studied them. And today I actually want to present on that, this Muhurta aspect, and also a little bit of maybe natal analysis, not much. Okay.
Yeah.
So here is it all for you.
No, this is wonderful. This will be good review for me as well. I did study a little bit of Muhurta in my, in my journey, but I'm sure I'm going to pick up some new stuff just by listening to you. So I'm excited.
So let's look at the Panchang. It started on a Monday. This listing, the sunrise happened at 3:55 a.m. So even though it's 4 a.m., the sunrise had happened before that. Okay. This is something very difficult for Indians to understand, right? Because you are used to sunrises at around 6 o'clock. So, but sunrise had happened. Okay. That was Shukla Shashti Tithi. Shukla Shashti is the Tithi of Lord Kartikeya, right? He's considered, he's the Deva Senapati, the commander-in-chief of the army of the Devatas. And Shukla Shashti is considered definitely a very warlike Tithi amongst all the Tithis, right? Battles and wars and quarrels and all that. Okay. And you have Magha Nakshatra. Okay. Yoga is Harshana Yoga and Karana is Kaulava Karana. Okay. Kaulava is also belonging to Mars, by the way. The Karana, Kaulava is assigned to Mars. Okay. The Shashti Tithi is ruled by Venus, by the way. Okay. So now when we look at it, let's look at this part. Okay. First of all, you find no feeding nakshatra over here. There are 10 nakshatras which are considered as no feeding nakshatras. In Sanskrit, it's called Bala, Anya, Varjya, Tara. Bala means child, Anna means food, Varjya meaning like neglect or not giving kind of thing. Okay. The child, or denial, basically. Okay. So the child is denied food. Okay. So it's basically you don't get food over here. Okay. So this means this is very bad. I mean, especially if one is looking for wealth and success and victory, and especially health aspect also, this no feeding nakshatra is not good if it occurs in a prashna or a muhurta. Okay. This is Magha. Magha also happens to be a Gandanta Tara. Okay. Quite a few of the no feeding nakshatras are also Gandantas. Okay. It's basically Ashlesha, Magha, Jeshta, and Mula. These are the 4 Gandanta nakshatras. They're also in the no feeding category. Okay. So it's also Gandanta. Gandanta meaning if you start something, it's like it's going to end abruptly or soon, and it's not going to give the delivered fruit, right? And in fact, even your life can be in danger. Okay.
Okay.
Like,
So
for example,
normally... Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, normally, we associate Gandanta, particularly in Jatika astrology, is that that intersection between water and fire.
Fire and water.
Yeah. So This is not that case because, or rather, it is at that case because the moon is
It
at.
is that case. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, it is.
It is that case. Moon is in,
11
and
odd
not just
minutes.
that. This moon is at 0 degree 11 minutes. It's in Sandhi.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's very much into a Gandanta.
Yeah.
I mean,
Very inauspicious.
even right now, I mean, there are a lot of other flaws, but at this level itself, I would have, if I was consulting Napoleon, I would have told, don't take this. I mean, moon in Magha in such a close conjunction to this junction of fire and water sign, you should not take it at all.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Then Mars is in Sandhi. Mars is the Karaka for war, and it is in Sandhi. Sandhi meaning it is at 29 degree 13 minutes. So it's in the last 1 degree of the sign. Okay. Then you have Mrityu Datta. I'm not very sure how this came in about, to be honest. I'm not very sure about this one. Then Sun is in ascendant. So you see, you don't want malefics in the ascendant. Okay. And also preferably not in the Kendras or Konas. You want Sun, Mars, Saturn, Rahu, Ketu, all of this in either third house or 11th house, preferably, or even sixth house. Okay.
Upachaya houses. Yeah.
The Upachaya houses, and third and 11th are particularly better in that. Sun is also considered okay if it's in the 10th house. Okay. Though if you are going for something linked to a profession, or like in this case related to status or throne, Rajya, even you want that, basically want the 10th house empty, because that is what you're going to go to win your kingdom back, right? Kingdom is the 10th house. You don't want any, you want to keep that vacant of any planets, even benefics. Okay. So that is a flaw for sure. Okay. The biggest flaws. Okay. So I will rather go to the next slide because actually I've listed them all over here. Okay. The other major flaws is that Prashna Lagna, rather, I think it's better to show in this slide rather. Okay, so the Prashna Lagna is in 8th house. Okay, so you see, this is natal chart. His Lagna is in Libra in natal chart. And this Muhurta Lagna is in Taurus, which is in 8th house from there. Okay, that has to be avoided. Whether in Prashna or in Muhurta, if this occurs, that's a big problem. That's a big problem. Okay. Same is happening with the moon, unfortunately. It's like you may see one, but you won't see both occurring mostly, right? But in this case, both of the cases are there. Natal moon is in Capricorn, okay, Makara Rashi, and his this Muhurta moon is in Leo, 8th house from there. Okay. So Lagna is guiding your intelligence, your discrimination, your ability to decide correctly. Okay, that is, and when this is in 8th house, the way you decide, your 8th house causes an abrupt end. You want everything to end eventually, but you don't want an abrupt, undesirable, unfruitful end of things. Okay. And in this particular case, his intelligence, the way his brain is working during this period is prompting that undesirable end for himself. And moon basically shows one's emotional makeup during this period of time, right? How one's mind is working, whether one is happy or depressed. Because you see, when you're confident, when you're happy, you're able to take the right decisions. Okay. When you're depressed and sad, you're weighed down by those worries, and you're not able to take the right decisions. Moon also shows the support from society, from people around you, right? Moon shows the society, right? So that both these things, these are major flaws. Okay. And then there is also mention of moon in bad muhurta. So muhurta is basically, you divide the day, that is the day period, into 15 parts. Okay. And similarly, the night period into 15 parts. So totally from a sunrise to sunrise, you have 30 muhurtas. Okay. Each of these muhurtas are 48 minutes long, or rather what we call 2 ghatikas, 2 into 24. One ghatika is around 24 minutes.
Right.
So there's also in literature, what is the right muhurta to choose? So this was just after sunrise. It comes under Rudra or Ardra. Basically, the names are basically they are correlated to the nakshatras. So the lord of Ardra is Rudra. Okay. So Ardra is not a nakshatra which is good overall, right? For benefit, for for auspicious things. I mean, yes, you may not say war is auspicious, but you want to win it, right?
Correct. It's
Or you will at
symbolized by
least.
the tears. The
Hmm?
it's
Yeah,
symbolized by a teardrop,
yeah, and you will cry at the end of the
from
day.
the upheavals of Rudra. Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I get it.
So it will end up in your tears, basically. That's what happened. Okay. There are a couple of other things which are specifically mentioned in Muhurta literature. There are things like Kula Nakshatra, Kula Nakshatra, and all that. If a king, and this is specifically mentioned for a king marching on a campaign, okay, this specific one. So if a king marches on a campaign in a Kula Nakshatra, okay, or let's say in modern days, a politician kickstarts his election campaign. It can be used in modern days also, right? So that will predict defeat. Okay, so Magha is part of. There are few nakshatras which are part of Kula nakshatra. There are few in Akula and so on and so forth. Akula is good. Kula is not good. So he marched in Magha, which also predicts defeat. Okay, then when there is a combination of the Monday as a weekday,
Mhm.
and the Tithi is the sixth Tithi, be it Krishna Shashti or Shukla Shashti. That is in Krishna Paksha sixth Tithi or Shukla Paksha sixth Tithi. It is both Visha Tithi as well as Hutashana Tithi. Okay, these are in fact written along with Dagda, classified along with the Dagda. These are very bad worse Tithis. Okay, and recently Sanjay Gurji in one of the PGC lectures on Tithi, he gave some more idea about Visha and Hutashana, wherein he linked Visha specifically with Rahu and Hutashana with Ketu. Okay, Hutashana means fire. Okay, Huta is fire, Ashana is like fire. So Hutashana is the name for Agni Devata. Okay, Huta is what you offer in the oblations you offer, and Ashana is eating. So the one who eats your oblations is Hutashana. That is Agni. Okay, so basically whatever you're trying to do is going to get burnt. Okay, Visha means poison. So you there will be poison in your mind, in your system, and hence you will not be able to decide correctly. Okay, so this is going to poison your entire Muhurta. So this is both Moonvara and 6 Okay. And there is a kind of uh, type of nakshatra classification known as Anandadi Yoga. Okay. Where basically it's a combination of the weekday and the nakshatra. Okay. There is some mathematics involved over here. You calculate from the weekday to the particular nakshatra. In each weekday, there you start from a particular nakshatra, and then whatever is the nakshatra over here, Maga. So moon, let's say there is a moon, I think starts with Ashwini.
Mhm.
So then you, no, not with Ashwini. I believe it is Mrigashira. Okay. And you calculate till Maga. I think it is number six. And then for each of that is 1 to 28, there are some names. For this, it is classified as Dvangsha. Dvangsha literally means a crow, but it also means a beggar. Basically, someone who is desiring for something and he may not get it.
Right. I remember these
Okay.
listed. These are listed. The Anandari yogas they're listed in Muhurta Chintamani, I believe.
Yeah, it's listed in Muhurta Chintamani and it's listed in other Muhurta literature also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember reading that. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So
So you can see now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and there were some other in the previous one which I didn't count, like I think Mars in Sandhi, etc. So it's a really inauspicious nakshatra, muhurta. But there is little bit more, and I'll now come to my last slide. Have I moved very fast?
well, we are, but I mean, this is really interesting stuff. Like time flies when you're having fun. We've been doing this for probably, a little over 30 minutes. So I
Right.
think so yeah.
Okay.
No, keep going. I mean, I'm really enjoying this. The one thing that the one thing that I noticed is that, with Mars being Digbala and Mars as the Karaka for war, as you rightly pointed out, one could look at this without looking at the degree and without catching the fact that it is in Sandhi and think, you know, but it's in the 10th, as you had said, right? So the,
Yeah.
the malefic's not in Upachayas in
Yeah.
Kendra, and it being Sandhi on top of that. Wow. It
Would have rather preferred Mars to be in the 11th house than in the 10th house.
yeah, for sure.
Even for a war, Muhurta, that would have been a better thing to do. See, when he started off on this campaign, he actually won some victories also. He actually could have won, you know, despite this bad muhurtas, he could have won this campaign, okay, but for a lot of bad decisions that he took on the way, right? He had actually caught the allies on the back foot, and even a day before that crucial battle, okay, which happened, there were chances, if he had done things properly, he could have had good chances of winning. Okay, and there were victories that they won. Just before this Battle of Waterloo, there was another battle called Battle of Ligny, I suppose. It's Ligny, where the French, they defeated the Prussians very decisively, and the Prussians had to flee. Okay, though they were not destroyed, the Prussian army was not destroyed or weakened. It was a clear victory. Okay, and the French had achieved their objectives over there. So they could have pushed home over there. So Mars in 10th house is probably giving some strength. That's what I meant to say over here. Okay. Moon also in 4th house is in Digbala. But the same moon is in, the other doshas that you see over here. It's in Magha Nakshatra, it's in Gandanta, etc. Right?
Correct. Yeah.
So these are definitely very serious flaws, and they don't foretell that you can win basis this, right? But I just wanted to do some bit of more analysis. What we definitely see, one of the first things in a muhurta is the 8th house has to be empty. Okay, here if you see, the 8th house has Ketu. Okay, it's an exalted Ketu, but Ketu is Ketu. I mean, you don't want anything, even you don't want benefics in 8th house. You want 8th house to be completely vacant in any muhurta. Okay. Except for, I have heard my Guruji Vistiji say, except for when you're going to take a loan. Okay. So you want the loan to end, the debt to end. So then you should pack the 8th house with a lot of planets. But yeah, in this case, you should not. And Ketu specifically indicates mistakes. Okay. And definitely in this case, there were mistakes by Napoleon and as well as some of his key commanders. There are so many, I can tell a few things as we move on, but there were mistakes which were done. Okay. Then this, I think, is very important. The 3rd house of this chart, okay. See, 3rd house is about attacking and 6th house is about defending. Okay. And when you have 3rd house is a benefic sign or a benefic planet is over there. In this case, it's both. Its 3rd house is Cancer, which is a benefic sign, and Venus is over there, which is a benefic. Okay. So when imagine you are, you want to attack and you have a benefic in 3rd house, meaning what? It's not going to help you attack, right? You want a malefic in 3rd house. The malefic is giving you the anger or the energy to attack. Benefic will cool you down. Will try to, it will try, okay, let's leave it. It's kind of, it brings the timidity in the person. Okay. In fact, the specific word is called Katara in Sanskrit. Katara means covered. The Senapati becomes covered. Okay. So Napoleon was not a coward by nature. Certainly not. He was a very, very brave and intrepid person, right? And here also he was there till the last. He did not run away before, right? But what happens is, and maybe it's pertinent to say at this point of time. So during this entire campaign, as I said, there were points when he could have taken the initiative and earned a decisive victory. But then he would, for example, the day previous to this Waterloo battle, that is on 17th June, when he and his commanders should have issued immediate orders to disperse of the enemies, okay, because they had the advantage, they had the momentum, they could have dispersed them off, separated the enemies so that they can't come together. Napoleon had a very late leisurely breakfast and then just did some few cursory visits to some of his stations, and then came back, and even on the day, on the 18th June, when the Battle of Waterloo was fought, he hardly went on his horseback. I mean, on the other hand, the Duke of Waterloo, he could have nearly died so many times. He was constantly on the horse from one place to the other place, exhorting his people. Well, Napoleon sat on his table. There was a table and a chair, and he was sitting in with his telescope and just looking at the battle almost all throughout. They say that he was probably suffering. He had some health issues at that point of time. Okay, and I think it's correct also. Sun in Lagna, I think, does indicate health issues. Now, in a natal chart, Sun in Lagna could be good for health because Sun is the Karaka for first house. But here, Sun is in a Muhurta or a Prashna chart, Sun is a malefic. Okay, and it specifically, it's not good for a Taurus Lagna. Sun is not favorable for a Taurus Lagna. So that could indicate he may have been having some health issues. Okay, as you can see, if you can consider Venus as the Lord, it is not well placed in the third house. In fact, where's the Navamsha? Navamsha, no, I have not put the Navamsha here, I'm sorry. But in Navamsha, Venus is in debility. Okay, in Nisha. Okay, that's not good. If we consider Moon as the other Lord of Taurus, Moon is also, as you can see, it has its own doshas. It's in Gandanta and in No Feeding Nakshatra and all those things.
I just want to add a footnote here for viewers that are unfamiliar with this concept. In our tradition, we do use the Mula Trikona signs as potential lordships. Now, there's a few different factors that we would use to parse that out, but this is what Kartik is referring to here.
Yeah. So I mean, one can question which is the Lagnesha over here, right? I can consider Venus as Lagnesha, but Moon can also be the Lagnesha, because you see, when the question is Venus really favorable in this Muhurta? Because Venus is also the sixth lord. Is it acting more as a sixth lord or as the Lagna lord? So here we have a rule, because of the oddity of the sign, that this is an even sign. Venus is more supporting Libra as a lordship. So Venus is basically more his enemy than his himself. And maybe we can then consider Moon as Lagnesha, and we can see Moon is not in a good spot. Venus is bad just because it's a benefic in the third house, and that causes indecision, timidity, cowardice, those things. Okay.
I noticed too that Venus is being aspected by both Rahu with the second house aspect and Saturn.
And Saturn also.
So it's under Shapa as well. Like we would call it a curse. So that doesn't bode well either.
True. Yeah, that's what I mentioned here also. Saturn and Rahu are also aspecting it. Okay. And I mentioned about Venus as Lagnesha. The 10th house, as I mentioned earlier, has to be vacant. Okay. Not only do you have Mars in Sandhi, the other major problem, you asked about Mars being Digbala. The thing is Mars is aspected by Rahu. And when Mars is aspected by Rahu, it's called a condition called as Kujastambhana. Mars gets frozen. Okay. So Rahu is considered the Senapati of the Asuras, okay, of the demons, right? And Mars is the commander-in-chief of the Devas. So here Mars is aspected by Rahu. Not only that, it is in Rahu's sign in Aquarius. Okay. So hence it is not really that strong a Mars, what may seem as in Digbala. And by the way, when Mars is in Digbala, it's not good for job or work or status in anyhow. Because we consider that the Digpala of Mars, which is Yama Devata, is manifesting. Yama is the god of death. Okay. Anyway, there was a lot of death because this was war, but it is bringing death to your status, your work. So if you find in a Jataka, in a natal astrology, Mars in 10th house, you can see the person is going to have a lot of problems in his career. Whether if Mars is in 10th house, Mars is conjoined the 10th lord, or any of these combinations, it clearly shows a lot of problems in career. Or the companies which you work for, they tend to die. Your organization dies. Okay. So Mars in 10th house is not desirable anyhow. Okay. I mentioned about Sun in Lagna. Okay. The other thing is, see, Mars is also the 12th lord. Okay. So in a Muhurta, especially this campaign Muhurta, The 12th house shows aprapti. Aprapti meaning not getting, not obtaining what you want. Okay. It's somewhat like, loss, right? We normally consider 12th house as loss.
Yeah.
It is like that. Okay. So, um, so this is in 10th house. So he's not going to achieve his objective. While the 11th lord, which shows prapti, meaning attaining your objectives, is Jupiter. This Jupiter is in the sign of Virgo, and it's opposite its own sign. So when a planet is opposite its own sign, it's considered as weak. Okay. So hence those objectives will not be attained. Okay. The 9th house is considered as the manas, the mind of the person. Okay. And this has Saturn in retrogression. Okay, you may say it's in own sign, but since it's in retrogression, it's almost like acting as if it's in opposite sign. So it is weak in a way. Okay. And Saturn naturally, you don't want Saturn in the Kendra and Trikonas. Okay. So Saturn will basically cause a depression in your mind. You will tend to give up more easily. Okay. So here it was all a war of nerves between these two generals. Okay. Who kept his nerve? Who didn't give up easily? Let me tell you, till the late evening of 18th of June at Waterloo, the situation was hanging in balance. Okay. On that day, Wellington did everything right. Whatever a general could do right, he did everything right. And Napoleon probably did most of the things wrong. Okay. So that was the thing. As I said, his commanders also, one of the crucial things was he had sent his army was, if we put the English and the Prussian armies together, was half of it. So he had a smaller army. But Napoleon had this beautiful thing and experience about, attacking in numbers. So he ensured that he had enough people at Waterloo to attack the English, and the English were weak at that point of time. Okay, in terms of numbers. The Prussians he had already separated. His strategy was right. He had tried to separate the Prussians, but unfortunately, it didn't happen. And he had sent a sizable detachment of his troops under one of his top generals. I think his name was Grouchy, to chase away the Prussians. But what happened was the Prussians somehow turned back and came to join the English from behind. And this commander of Napoleon, Grouchy, that is, he could not discern it. In fact, late in the afternoon, the captains under this commander Grouchy, they could hear the guns in Waterloo, okay, from very great distance, and they said, "No, we should head to Waterloo to support Napoleon." Okay, but he said no. Napoleon's order was specifically chase the Prussians, chase away the Prussians. Okay, so he was still going after chasing them, when honestly they had themselves turned back and joined. So this was you may say this is an error in judgment, basically, but this is what happens. The winning party, the people take the right decisions. In fact, one of the most interesting things is a day or two before this, there was a crucial junction where there was a four-way junction. Okay. And there was a captain, English captain, who was manning it, and the French were going to attack to get that position. This person actually had an earlier order to fall back and join the English army, main English army. But he sensed the gravity of the situation and he decided, no, these French are attacking, this junction is important, I'm not going to leave. So disobeying the orders, he stayed there and he fought against the French, defending that position. So you are seeing here that one captain, a low captain, is taking an independent decision which is actually saving their day. I mean, Wellington didn't give these orders, but it helped Wellington and the English army. So it's all, in a way, destiny. You may see that, the losing party keeps on taking the wrong decisions or the wrong judgment call, while the winning party takes the right decisions. So this is all I had to share. This is a picture of Napoleon as he is leaving the battlefield. You can see a sad face and the kind of uproar around him. And
he certainly doesn't look very happy. This is fascinating stuff, very well researched. I find it fascinating just to see the jyotish in action.
And this is the picture of the Duke of Wellington. This is supposed to be late in the evening. as you can see, his soldiers are all dead tired, and he's running on his horseback, to exhort them to still give that one final shot and fight against the French. He's giving them the orders. Now chase them, go after them. All day you have been defending. Fine, now you go and chase them. So that is this thing. Both of them were of the same age. Both were around 45, 46 years old at this point of time. They were born in the same year, 1769. But apparently Napoleon, on that day, he didn't have that energy. It said, another interesting thing is, he said that he suffered from thrombosed hemorrhoid. This is supposed to be some swelling of veins, and unfortunately, like, it's in the rectum, so anal area, it is very, very painful. Okay, so I think probably that's why maybe he couldn't easily sit on a horseback and travel around and all that. And thrombus, so enlargement of veins, blood issue, okay, is really moon, isn't it? And you can see how this moon is placed in this muhurta.
Well, I was wondering too, if we are considering the Mula-Trikonal lordship, is there not a Sukshma Parivartana between the first and the fourth house? And how is that coming into play as well?
First and fourth house Parivartana is good, but you see both these planets, even Sun is almost near Sankranti. It's 28 degrees 59 minutes. I mean, honestly speaking, it's like 1 minute away from Sankranti.
and in all reality, that could have been the case, right?
Could have been. Maybe this was a little bit after 4. Who knows? Okay. I just took the exact time. So even if first and fourth house Parivartana is a good Parivartana, you're right. And you see this campaign, while it ended in a disaster, while it was going, it was like an evenly balanced thing. Napoleon had his victories. He won his last great victory the day before this great defeat. Okay, so it was like in Wellington's own words, he used this word, I think, in some other battle. It's a near run thing, he said.
Right. Well, perhaps if Napoleon had a Vedic astrologer at his side helping him choose the muhurta, things, as you said, could have gone a little bit differently.
I don't know. I've heard, I think it's Sanjay Guruji said that he used to consult astrologers, Napoleon. Maybe he didn't have time, or maybe whatever. He see, it's all like, the bad time comes and the brain doesn't work. We say that vinashakale viprita buddhi, right? So
right,
maybe that's what happened.
Yeah. So as you said, it's just destiny.
See, this Jupiter is in Trikona. That's a very nice thing. Jupiter in Trikona, and from his natal moon, his Janma Nakshatra, this Jupiter is in Trikona. If there's any one thing, and this Jupiter is Lagna, in his Lagna natal chart. The only thing trying to protect over here was this Jupiter. He was trying to get him victory or good things, good terms or whatever. But unfortunately, this Jupiter is not that strong, being opposite the own sign.
Right.
Okay. So, yeah.
That's fantastic. So I guess, the lesson learned here is that, muhurta can tell a lot. The prashna of the moment where an activity is initiated can really help or hinder an outcome. And if you do have, a project coming up, or something unusual, like an unusual task you're going to invest a lot of time and resources, you want to make sure that you do it properly. So you should consult a Vedic astrologer if you can. And I see here you have your contact information. I am going to also include that in the link in the description below. And if folks want to seek you out for a general consultation, or for muhurtas or anything astrology related, I can definitely vouch for you, Kartik. I know your astrology is top notch, and you're always the when we're in class, you're always the person asking very poignant questions that really open up the discussion in class. So that's a sign of,
I'm famous for that.
Right. So that could be part of your Aruda Lagna, but we won't go into that today. Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming on the channel today and sharing this history lesson and astrology lesson.
Yeah. I'm sure the history buffs would have enjoyed it, or
Yeah,
this specifically,
I
because one
I
of the
I learned a little bit as well too.
in fact, my call out to your audience, if anyone has Wellington's birth details, I know his date of birth, but I don't know his time. Okay, maybe he was born late in night. If because I would really enjoy to study his chart, Duke of Wellington. He was known as Arthur Wellesley before he became the Duke of Wellington.
Okay,
In fact, he has a connection with India also. So he had won great victories in India. So yeah.
This talk will be listed, in posterity on YouTube indefinitely. So, if somebody in the future happens to see it, they can definitely post a comment below, and I'll keep an eye on it. And if anything does come out of it, you'll be the first to know.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
I really enjoyed it. I mean, I didn't realize where the time went.
That's a good sign.